Okay, here we are. We're going to start the process of making 7mm Valkyrie brass from 6.5 by 47 lapua. It's the recommended brass. Other brass will work. This works the best, easiest to make. Okay, I've got my wooden die. I have the guts all taken out of it. Put that in the press. I have my brass, and I use homebrew lanolin and isopropyl alcohol for my lube. I'm mixing at around 12 to 1, 12 parts alcohol, 1 part lanolin oil, and you just take I got 100 pieces in here, and I just give it a couple spurts. Spread it around. It does not take very much lube when you're forming these cases, and so the guts are removed from the die, and we just take our brass and run it up in. And what I'm looking for is somewhere in the neighborhood of, with the wooden tool that comes with it, it should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1295 is where we want to set the shoulder to start out with. With the Hornady tool, it's 1.305. We're at 1290. Find my other adapter here. With the 375 adapter is what we use. Yeah, 1302. Need to open it up just a little bit. Now we're at 1305, and it should be 1295. Well, I guess it's 1292 with the wooden tool. Okay, that's the first step. Now I take and I go and pre-trim the brass with a mini chop saw from Reload Miser. The mini chop saw with his jig in it. I do the pre-trim on them, and then after I get the pre-trim done on, I run the expanding mandrel through for 6.5 millimeter expanding mandrel. That will set it up so the neck is the right size to run through the reamer. And so it's pretty much as easy as that. No guts in the die. Run your brass through. And it's just for the first time you want to set them at the 1292 with the wooden tool, or 1305 with the 375 adapter, just for new brass to make sure it chambers. And then after that, you just have to run a 3/1000 bump. Measure your fire brass, and then bump the shoulder 3/1000. Here I am. We're got a new handy little tool here, the mini chop saw. I figured I'd try it out with the pre-trimming the 270 brass, and it works pretty good. Here I am doing 7mm Valkyrie, and so far I've trimmed them, and now with my power trimmer, and now I'm doing the neck ream and doing the final trim to them. I've got the 257 arbor in here, turning reamer from Forester, and the Forester lathe, and the cases. With the wooden dies, I'm running into having the neck diameter the correct size to line up with the reamer. So what I've done is I've sized them with the wooden die, and then I've ran a T26 neck expander. I have the Sinclair tool, and inside I have the T26, which is the turning mandrel, and I ran them all through that. That gets the inside of this neck just perfect to run the reamer through. So we end up with, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13 thousandths after I get done doing the neck turning. But here we are reaming. I have the power drill attachment, and it's that quick and it's done. About every 2 or 3 cases, I just spray a little lube on the cutter. It just makes things go a lot quicker. Easier, shall we say. And there you have it. Now your insides, your necks are just reamed, and it gets rid of the excess material that's right in the neck shoulder union there. And from here, there's 2 ways you can go. You can you got to expand up to 284 anyhow. So right now, what I do is I get done here. I put the 284 E284 expanding mandrel in my Sinclair expander, but if you have your wooden dies, you just put the expanding mandrel back in, hold it up off. So all you have to do is you just have to run the expander in to open up the neck. And so I run the 284 expander through, and then when I'm done, then I go up to my Century 21 lathe, and then I do the neck turning. But that's where we're at so far. Thank you. Here we are. I'm making 7mm Valkyrie. Right now I'm at the neck turning stage. As you can see, after you've formed the brass and trimmed it, there's a little lip here. Right there where that crease is where the old shoulder neck union used to be. And these are pushed back. What I've done up to this point, and I'll clear up the rest of the videos, is I've formed them and trimmed them, and I've done the neck ream. I've used the 7mm Valkyrie die, and with no guts in it, and I formed them, then I trimmed them, and then I reamed them with the 257 reamer from Forester. And then once that was done, I ran the 284 E284 expander with my Sinclair die set, expander die. But you can also put the guts back in your die and run the expander, the 7mm expander through. It just has to fit over top of the T28 neck turning mandrel. This is a Century 21 lathe. Love it. The cutter in here is angled, so it cut at 30 degrees, so it cuts a 30-degree neck shoulder union, and it works perfect. And so I've expanded them, sized them, trimmed them, reamed them with 257 reamer, and now I've expanded them to, with the E28 expander, and now I neck turn. And when I turn them, I go to get about 99% equal. Okay. Now that we got it turned, you can see how it cuts into this next shoulder union. And when you're forming these, and if you're using another one that doesn't do the next shoulder union, this is where you'll have the most problems with chambering when you first get them. When I've got the shoulder pushed back to about 1.305 with the Hornady 375 insert on the OEL tool with the 375 insert. And on new brass, it seems like I got to set it to 1305 to 1307. I don't want chambering issues. I'm making these for the founders, so I'm setting them at 1305, 1304. After you fire, then you set them up for whatever your chamber was. But as you can see, it does a perfect job of the next shoulder union. Okay, I turn them to get them 99%, and like you can see, there's just a little bit of a crease. Look of the crease there. I don't take it all the way out because you just make the brass thinner and it doesn't really affect anything. Right now this brass is at about 12.5 thousandths. If I was to take it out, I'd be about 11.5, maybe 12 thousandths. So I figure a little bit more there is better. And so it's just like that. So once everything's set up, I've got the drill on here. It just takes a little time, and voila. See this one here? You can see just a little bit more. It didn't touch right on the mouth there. And like I said, that's the old neck. But like I said, don't worry about that. Now when I'm done with this, I'm going to throw them over on my anneal them. Then I'll wet tumble them. And then I'll chamfer deburr, and they're good to go. Thank you.